everybody, how are you? I really hope you're well and that you're making time to be creative. I think it's really an important time to do that. And Laura and I are still working remotely, so it's difficult for us, the same as for everybody else. But when I saw some of the prints that she and Amelie had been making in her studio a couple of weeks ago, I thought, I've got to have a go at that. So the video's gone on the website this week and I hope you found it. It's called Collagraph Monoprint and it's a combination of those two things, and I have to say it's really exciting. Now you make a collagraph plate, but I think it always helps, doesn't it, to have a thought in your head when you sit down to do anything. And I hadn't got one, but I went to one of my favourite artists, Cézanne, who does a lot of still life paintings, or did a lot of still life paintings, and I just skipped through the pages until I found something that appealed to me. And it's not that I'm going to copy it exactly, but it's just if the arrangement of the shapes works for him, it would work for me. So after I'd looked at that, I made myself a plate. So here's one of the plates. I actually made several based on his still life paintings. And if you've watched Laura's video, you'll know that although this is just cut paper shapes glued down to a bit of thin card, these have been used several times, many times. And so what you're seeing here is the inky surface that remains. Now, I've tried all sorts of different plates because when you're on a roll and you're enjoying something, why limit yourself? So there are 4 here, I've got various others as well. And the thing is, when you're trying something for the first time, you can't guarantee, can you, that everyone is going to be absolutely perfect. And in fact, I've said to Laura, I think it's actually counterproductive if the first time you try something, you get it right. I think actually if you encounter a few issues along the way, then you have to resolve them, don't you? You have to redeem the less than perfect. So what I've been doing, although I've got a batch of the prints here, I've been working some into a sketchbook and some on loose sheets of paper because I wanted to experiment with different surfaces to see how they took the ink. I was using block printing ink. In the video, Laura explains how you can use other things, but I was getting a sort of mixed result. Here's a brighter one. Here's another one here. When you think that these are all the same plate, but I've varied the amount of ink and I've varied the type of paper that I'm printing on. That's why you're getting such sort of variation in the results. But one interesting thing is that when you've inked your jelly plate and you've put your collagraph on top and lifted off a lot of that surface ink, you can then go in, if you're working with the block printing inks, they do give you a bit of working time. So you can go in and you can actually remove even more of the ink so you can introduce some highlights, which if you're doing a kind of all over geometric pattern might not seem like, a very useful thing to do. But if you're doing a little still life like mine here, and you're very aware of how the light would fall onto three-dimensional surfaces, then that's quite a neat little trick to be able to lift that ink and introduce those highlights. But if your end result is beautiful, then it's done. You don't have to do anything more to it. But if you think it lacks tonal contrast, which I think is really important in the success of any artwork, you can work into them. And if you're interested to know how to redeem your less than perfect prints, just let us know, because we could do a video on this anytime you like. It's something I like to do because when I'm on a roll, as I say, when I'm enjoying myself, I'm not satisfied to pull off one print. Now, it's called a monoprint for good reason, but it doesn't mean to say you can't use that collagraph plate several times, a number of times. So I end up with a whole batch of prints that look similar. Well, what am I going to do with them? I'm not in the business of mass production. So what I prefer is to start off, I might have 6 of these that look identical or similar. I like to work into them and give each of them their own little bit of character. So let us know if that's something that would interest you, and we'll be on the case pretty quickly. So I hope, as I say, that you're finding time to be creative, and if you're inspired with anything that you've learned from our videos on DMTV, please post in the gallery. We'd love to see what you're doing. So bye for now. I'll talk to you again very soon.